Hello everybody and welcome to another part of JavaScript full course in Prog Bytes. As you saw in the previous video, we learned operators in JavaScript. We walked through all operators, and in today's video it's time to talk about conditional statements in JavaScript. And what do we mean by conditionals? Actually, conditional statements allow us to run our code depending on a condition. So we can set a condition, and then if that condition is true, we can do something, and if it's not true, we can do something else. So it will look like this. Let's assume this a simple program. As you can see, here is our code, and here is our condition. So during the execution of our code, we can set a condition, and then the rest of the execution of our code depends on the result of this condition. So we are simply saying here that, hey, if this condition is true, go ahead and do this. Or if it's not true, it's false, go ahead and do this. And we can have as many conditions as we want, and then we can perform different tasks depending on this condition. So now our program is able to perform different tasks in different circumstances. And in JavaScript, we have two types of conditional statements. First, we have if statements, then we have switch statements. So if statements, actually, it has different types. First, we have a single if statement. Then if we want to have more conditions, we can use if, else if, and then else. So it has different types. And today we are going to talk about these if statements or if else statements, and in the next video we will talk about switch statements. So let's go ahead and learn if statements in JavaScript. Now for learning and comprehending if statements better, let's consider an example. So in this example we are going to have a program that asks the user for their name or username, and then based on the username it will welcome the users. So it's a kind of when you type your name, then it will welcome you. It will print a welcome message with your name. So it's what we will build in this video. So first of all, how can we have the user input? So in JavaScript we can use prompt. This is a function that we can use to get some user input. As you can see right now, I have a dialog here, and now if I write something here, this prompt can access all of those letters or characters that I input in here. Then we can store that in a variable, or we can do whatever we want with that. And right now you can see it doesn't have any message for users, so we should have something that users they should know what to type here. So let's have a message here like tell me your name. And first we should cancel this and run it again, and as you can see, tell me your name. There's a message here. And now if I start writing something here and press OK, now this prompt, actually it got what I wrote inside that dialog, but we haven't stored those words or those letters anywhere. So let's store it in a variable. So I can simply write const name equals whatever that comes from the dialog. This is how we can get a user input in JavaScript. Now let's have our conditions. So first of all, let's check for the condition that when the user leaves this dialog empty. So we don't want that. For example, if I right now click OK, actually this name is empty. We haven't written anything, so when it returns the user input is actually empty, an empty string. So let's first consider that situation, that when the name is empty. For setting a condition using if statements, we simply write if and then this parenthesis. Inside this parenthesis we can have our condition. So in this case our condition should be if variable of name is equal to, as you can see, these two equal signs. It is for checking the equality, and we saw this in the previous video. If the name is an empty string, as you can see, this is an empty string. For some reasons, when we write name here, it gets something like this. So let's change this username, and let's make this username. Alright, so if the username is an empty string, then after our condition, we can simply have our statements. So what do we want to do if this condition is true, if our username is empty? Then we can have these curly braces. Actually, if we have a single statement here, it's not necessary to have these curly braces. But having these curly braces make your code very nice and readable. So it's always a good idea to have these curly braces. So now how can we output something in JavaScript? I don't want to use the console.log because I don't want to switch between this page and console multiple times. And instead, let's use another type of outputting in JavaScript, another way to output in JavaScript, and that's by using document.write. So document.write. When we use this document.write, we can actually print something in this page. So then we will not have to open our developer tools and then see our message. It will print the message inside this HTML page. So let's have a message here. If the username is empty, so if the user leaves this input field blank, we can simply say you did not give me a name. So it's a kind of some message that we notify the user that, hey, you didn't give me a name. Alright, so right now we are checking a condition that if the username is empty, we can simply print this message in the page. So let's test it out. And if I write something here and press OK, you can see that nothing happens because this condition is not true. The username was not empty. We wrote something in the username, so now this condition is not true. Therefore, it didn't print this message. And let's now check it again. So now let's leave this blank. And if it is blank, we are checking for that situation here, and it should print this message in the page. So let's press OK, and you can see that it did print something. You did not give me a name. So because this condition was true. And the document.write is very interesting because we can have HTML tags also here. For example, let's have an h2 element, and let's close our h2 element here. And this time let's cancel this and run it again. So if I leave it empty, you can see that now it is bolder. Alright, so it is a simple if statement. Right now we are checking for a single situation, but what about other situations? What if we write something so our program doesn't do anything when we write something here? So let's check for that situation as well, or for those situations. As I said in the intro, we can have as many conditions as we want. So the first condition is if the username is empty. Now how can we add another condition? We can simply write else. Remember to not put any semicolon here or anything like this. After this closing curly braces, you can simply write else and then if again. Then we can have our next condition here. So if username is equal to something like admin, or we want to print something else. So let's bring this. Let's have a message for our boss. So this admin, let's assume that this is our boss. So we can simply write welcome boss. So if the username is admin, our program knows that this is probably our boss. So we are saying welcome boss. So let's cancel this and run it again. Now if I write here admin, and if I press OK, you can see that it says welcome boss. So right now you can see we are checking for two conditions. If the username is empty, we print this. If the username is admin, we are just welcoming our boss. But what if our username is, for example, Ed, Bob, anything like this? Now for considering the rest of the situations, except these two situations, we can use simply else. It will cover all of these situations, all of the possible situations. If the username is empty, it prints this message. If the username is admin, it runs this code. And if we simply say else without any condition, so now we are covering the rest of the situations. So let's have a message again. So I'm just bringing this here. Let's have a welcome page, a welcome message for whatever the user types here. For example, if I write here Bob, it should say welcome Bob. If I write here Ed, so it should say welcome Ed. Now how can we do this? Actually, it's very simple. Let's remove these single quotes at all. Remember that in the first videos of this course, when we were talking about outputting in JavaScript, we said that we can use either single quotes or double quotes or backticks to display a message in JavaScript. So we have been using single quotes and double quotes quite a lot in this course. Now let's use backticks, and by using backticks we are able to insert our variables inside our strings very easily and very perfectly. So let's wrap this into these two backticks. As you can see now, we have our string. It is in a string. And now for inserting our variable inside this string, we can simply add this $sign and these curly braces, and inside this we can simply have our variable. So let's write a different name here. It's Sheeran, and if we press OK, as you can see, welcome, it's Sheeran. So this is how we can insert our variables inside our messages. And once again, I emphasize that we can have as many conditions as we want. So if we, for example, if we would have another condition here, so before this else should be the last thing that we check in this if statement chaining. So this is our beginning, and this else should be the end of our if statement or if conditions. So if we had another condition here, we would simply write else if, and then our next condition here, and next our statement here. But since we don't want to check another condition, this is our else, which is the end of these if statements. If the username is empty, perform this. Else, if the username is admin, you should print this message. Otherwise, in the rest of the situations, print out whatever the user inputs in this dialog. So this is how we can set our conditions using if statements in JavaScript. In the next video, we're going to learn switch statements, and we will see the difference between if statements and switch statements in JavaScript. So catch you in the next video. See you soon.